Survivor specialist Phil and Will are back tonight with our Survivor 45 episode 6 recap. It's Will replacing Alexa for the evening. Alexa was out, but Will's coming in at maybe one of the craziest episodes we've seen in years.
I always come in when it's like a great episode. I get really, really lucky. The last time I was on was when Jesse made that incredible move and got Cody out in 43. So to come in on the first ever successful shot in the dark. Wait, someone had gotten a safe before, though.
Jamie was safe last year.
Okay, but this really is the first like big successful shot in the dark. It was bound to happen. How many people have tried it? Is that like 1 in 6? Is that about right? Have we hit that number?
So I actually think the odds are better right now. I think we might be at 2 of 7 or something along those lines. I think the odds are better because Jamie used hers in Survivor 44. It negated 0 votes, but it did come back as safe.
Right. So the odds are 2 of 7. So it's going better than expected. So it's it can be a good play.
Which means if you're going to be using this in the next couple seasons, you're probably going to fail based on what the odds are telling us. But I don't know.
True. That's not true. That's
no,
like
it's not.
At a roulette table and it hits green and you're like, okay, it's definitely not going to be green again. No, that's still the same odds every time you draw the parchment. It's 1 out of 6 every time you do it. That's why I like coming on. I can just come here and be like, Phil, nope, you're incorrect when you say that.
I like when I don't get any pushback from anybody. If you go on iTunes and look at our most recent reviews, they're all about how everybody just agrees with me and they're so tired of it because I'm an asshole. So good to have you on.
How do you get people to agree with you when you say such absurd things most of the time?
A lot of people, they just I think they just start ignoring me. I think that's
or really they don't have the energy to debate or combat you. They're like, I don't want to talk to this guy. I can't handle this energy. So Phil, you are correct. You are right. I agree.
Let's talk about somebody who couldn't handle the energy. And I want to talk about maybe the purest reaction I've ever seen in Survivor history. When Caleb Sting came back safe, if you rewatch that clip, everybody is jumping and screaming. And J. Maya just immediately goes down. Hand over her eyes. Head goes down. Everybody is screaming, jumping around next to her. She knows she's done. And I just have to say, I love this because then when every single vote came up Caleb, her elation of knowing she still had a chance, even though it was so small, that second chance at life that she never thought she was going to get was just phenomenal. Like watching everybody else jump around, Caleb, it was awesome for him. But to see the roller coaster of emotions that Jay went on during that time and having nobody on her side was just insane.
Yeah. And honestly, Phil, I think she went home because of a sandwich. If we really want to break it down, because voting out J. Maya right now is not at all the right move. Like it really didn't make any sense. She didn't have any connection. She wasn't a threat at all. Physically, I know Caleb kept saying, oh, big strategic threat. It's like, oh, the Reba women are together. We have heard consistently. I mean, Dee and Julie wanted to maybe flip the vote onto J. Maya last week if they had gone to tribal council. So everything Caleb was saying was completely incorrect. And I still don't really know why she ended up going home, other than that we were hammered throughout the entire episode. It started with the previously on, was this amulet sandwich thing. That kind of, I was paying more attention tonight because I was coming on to podcast with you. And I saw on the previously, it was like this amulet, the sandwich. They really kept hitting that. I was like, man, is that really going to be why she goes home? And I honestly think Austin maybe just, slowly you talk on the beach, these conversations move. And that could be a reason why she went home, because Emily was the right move. If Caleb was your number one target, then why not just take out his closest ally who he's played the entire game with in Emily? Like if you really believe Caleb is like the guy to get, just take out Emily. That seems like such an obvious move. So I'm really curious why it ended up on J. Maya. I really do think it is the sandwich.
I think Emily did a good job of playing down how close her and Caleb were. We saw her sitting on the beach and she was trying not to get overly protective of Caleb and say it's okay to vote him out. And I think her willingness, the fact that every single person tonight did vote for Caleb, showed that Emily was willing to vote for him, which maybe did keep the target off of her back, because people were saying she's more willing to bounce around. And if you're Drew and Austin, you just watched her really be excited to work with you. She was really playing that up as if she never had anybody on the other tribe. I don't think she told them about Caleb and her relationship. So I think that Austin and Drew were probably able to battle for her. And guess what? Right now, Austin, Drew, Dee, Julie, that's the power alliance From at least they're so cohesive. Bello reminds me of the Yellow tribe from Philippines, where it's just a matter of time before they all kill each other. And even if 2 of them sit at final tribal, I could see them struggling to get votes because they're just pissing each other off so much. But I think that really helped. And when I look at the sandwich situation, there had to have been, for Julian D to be so willing to vote her out of this game, there had to have been something J. Maya did that we did not see, because they don't care about the sandwich. And they, like you said, they were willing to vote her out last week before they even knew about the amulet or anything like that.
Yeah,
why
she was
were they
not
so
in with
willing?
them, like, whatsoever. And that's why,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe I don't know, maybe that wasn't clear to other players. Or Caleb was just throwing that out there, like, oh, these 3 are tight. Like, it was very clear to the audience, and I don't know how clear it was in the island, but that was not a strong trio, like, whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't know why, but I don't know why J. Maya felt so comfortable with them and why they didn't feel comfortable with her at all.
Yeah, and I wonder too, could she have done something to save herself? Like, if this was again, when we're looking at it from the audience perspective, it's like, oh, is it going to be Caleb? Is it going to be J. Maya? It was, whatever, 12 votes on Caleb. Like, this was, and he was preaching, he's making his case, was literally everyone's voting Caleb. He's likely going to play Shot in the Dark. Should J. Maya have like put just a rogue vote for Emily, knowing there's plenty of votes? Like, hey, guess what? Even if he plays the Shot in the Dark, I'm going to drop 1 vote. And I think, honestly, she had a chance to save herself. I know the Shot in the Dark is 1 in 6, but it was, hey, 12-0. Like, you can spare your vote and maybe toss 1 to someone else.
Yeah, and I wonder, especially with her reaction, because again, when everybody was jumping around, I seriously was just staring at J. Maya, because in the elation, I was happy Caleb stayed. I'm not going to lie. Caleb is definitely one of the highlights of this season. So losing J. Maya, especially with the edit she was getting, we don't lose much. We definitely would have lost more had we lost Caleb in this situation. But I was watching her. And the fact that once Caleb's was safe, she immediately knew she was going home. So I agree with you. If you know you're going home, if that turns up safe, why aren't you throwing a stray vote? And don't tell anybody. And maybe if everybody's going to vote, if you're not feeling comfortable with people, maybe you don't even throw it at Emily. Maybe you throw it at somebody even more random. Jake,
I'm forgetting who's even, when they split it up, I forget who's even eligible. Because it was pretty much J. Maya or Caleb. I wasn't even then Emily, obviously, at the end. But like, who are the other 3? Just to
Jake, D, Emily, Kelly, Jay, and Caleb were the 6 that were eligible to be voted out.
Yeah, like
throw a straight vote at Kelly.
Throw one at D or Kelly. Yeah, like throw someone who's got numbers, or like Jake even.
Yeah,
I mean, just toss. Yeah, just throw a vote out there. You know, Caleb's gunning for you too. Like, you're the clear next. You're the next man up, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So she knew she was going to go, and I do find it weird, and I wonder if in her exit press tomorrow she's going to talk about the fact that she didn't make a different vote, because we see it all the time where people will throw the stray vote when they know that they're the other name, and they're trying to figure out how they can get maybe 2 votes on a person or something. In this situation, when every single vote came up, because I was sitting there, I'm like, okay, J. Maya is going home. But then I'm sitting there and I'm going, who voted for J. Maya? Nobody. Caleb's not voting for J. Maya because Caleb didn't vote. So nobody's actually going to vote for J. Maya. So when that last vote came up, Caleb, you could see the elation on J. Maya's face where she said, okay, I still have a shot. But who did she think was going to vote for her?
I think maybe she had thought, okay, we have like 8 or 9 people on Caleb and it's going to be easy. But Caleb is, the antagonistic force of Caleb is putting her name out, and that maybe he convinced a couple people back at, camp or that tribal, even though that never happens. She was pretty devastated right when it was safe. Should someone else have, if you're Bruce and you want to get someone else, I know he wanted Caleb out, but let's say you are D or something. It's like, let me just write down Jake and just
I got a name for you.
That.
I got a name for you, and this is who I thought was actually going to vote J. Maya, and I feel like it would have made their edit make total sense. Katurah. 100% thought it was going to be Katurah, because Katurah was so against Bruce wanting to vote Caleb out, and she's like, no, it's going to be Jay, and Bruce kept saying, no, it's Caleb.
Who would Katurah vote for? What are you saying?
She would have voted for Jay, because that's who she wanted to vote out. Right. She was really annoyed that Bruce changed everybody's mind to Caleb. So I was thinking, did Katurah go rogue? And did Katurah vote J. Maya? And that's going to be the one vote that gets J. Maya out of this game. Ultimately, everybody ended up voting for her. But that would have been funny, and it would have made sense from this whole Bruce versus Katurah thing that's just been bubbling over and over again, week in and week out. It's been unreal.
Yeah, I wonder if you make that move, you don't have to reveal it was you either.
No.
You can literally just snipe someone, drop the vote, the shot in the dark hits. I mean, again, we're talking about a 1 in 6 shot, and whoever is going home needs to play the shot in the dark. So it's even more like we're just talking about fun scenarios at this point. But I like that you could just drop one vote, snipe someone, and be like, I know I voted Caleb, like everybody else. Everyone's wondering who eliminated that person. I don't think we've ever seen that before.
No, I don't think we've ever seen one. Well, we have seen one vote get somebody out, and that was first boot of last season, 44 when
But we know who did the vote, right?
Brandon. Yeah, I think it was Brandon's vote because Brandon had to play his idol to get Maddie out of the game, and I think it was Brandon's vote that put Maddie out of the game, but it was a 5-1 or something along those lines. So, yeah, I really like that idea too. And as we're seeing, you can get away with stray votes in this game because D's the one who voted for Sifu. Julie and D are playing that up. J Maya gladly took the bullet.
Why did she do that? Also, because now Sifu was also like, yeah, I'm voting Jay. Like, imagine if, and I always thought J Maya and Sifu were like kind of together because the other four were so strong. I figure, okay, they must be working together. Like, I'm sure they have some friends. But it's like they didn't even get along. Like J Maya literally had no one. And again, makes me question why target the person that has no one.
Well, I do think that in this situation, and we see this a lot with the stray vote outs. We saw it kind of with Johnny Mundo back in David versus Goliath, where we couldn't really figure out who he was with. Jessica Lewis and Millennials vs. Gen X is the prime example of this. I think sometimes with these random vote outs, they try to give us reasons why they were voted out when in reality there weren't many. Because J Maya wasn't going to go home tonight. At the end of the day, J Maya should still be in the game of Survivor, and then there would be a more coherent reason why she went home. But because she was the backup vote, I think we needed to be told over and over again why she would be the backup vote. Because I agree with you. I thought she was with Sifu, and then when she wasn't with Sifu, it felt like D and Julie were just kind of ragging on her to rag on her. It didn't feel like there was much reason for it, and I do think that's more of an editing thing of. Julia from Edge of Extinction was another one where she went in that crazy, insane tribal council. We saw almost nothing of her that entire season. And it was, well, why was it Julia? That's kind of what this felt like tonight. But because they have 90-minute episodes, they built it up, I think, a little bit better than they have in the past.
And they fed us the sandwich. That's the reason we got.
They did.
That's it.
So what are we thinking here, though? I want to talk. Everybody's gonna be talking about this Caleb moment forever now. I mean, this was epic. This was one of the best tribal councils in general, but in terms of a merged tribal council,
do we like the shot in the dark now? Is like now that it's hit and it's played and it's like
so. That's where I was going with this. Do we like it because we like Caleb? Or is the shot in the dark, it's never going to top this moment, right? It's almost like in Heroes versus Villains when Parv pulled out the second idol and gave it to, she gave one to Jerry and one to Sandra, and Russell didn't know what was going on. That, to me, was kind of the peak of idols. I know Kelly Wentworth's thing was amazing, but that was different. That was kind of the peak of idols. So now, when we have the shot in the dark play like this, it will never be better than this, ever. I
don't know about that, because I made that mistake. So in 41, we had Knowledge is Power. And I love talking about Knowledge is Power. And Xander plays it, and he does the big trick. He handed off his idol, and we're like, wow, woo, that's awesome. Like, that was one of the biggest moments of that season. And immediately, my first thought is, okay, that was a fun little advantage. Don't need to see that again, because no one's going to, like, that's the moment that you want from it. We got it. Just get it out of the game. That was a fun thing. But then in 43, Jesse uses it in like a completely different way, gets Dwight's idol because it's in the game, and they get someone. So it's like, I don't know if we'll ever see a play like red safe and you have 12 votes. Probably won't top that, but I still think people can. I know we've already seen people like Brandon was like bartering. I'll give you my shot in the dark. Like, there still are probably ways that we don't know where you can barter with it or use it in a creative or different way that we haven't seen yet. And that's awesome. So I think anything like that, I'm for. I'm not so quick to say it will never be as good, because I was wrong with Knowledge is Power.
Now, let me reverse this, though. And let me say exact same edit of the show. Let's say it was J Maya who was going to get all the votes and she played Shot in the Dark and Caleb went home. Do you think people would be as positive on it right now?
But see, I think this goes back to what you're saying. I think we get a different
True.
we're getting told a different story, because then Jay Maya at that point is going to be built up to be the hero. We might see more villainous side. We did get a little bit of people calling Caleb like, oh, he's too kind of a salesman. He's got this like weird charm, and he's kind of putting on, especially when he did that camp raid or whatever. That kind of, I think maybe we get that side of Caleb a little bit more, and we treat him like a villain because we know he goes out and then Jay Maya overcomes. But because this is the result, this is the story that we're being told.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I always wonder that, because I always think about
Survivor. Not like it'd be completely, like, not like they would just 180 it completely, but I think we would be presented just a little bit different of a narrative.
Yeah, Survivor gets their big moments sometimes on these weird twists and everything. Malcolm, Game Changers, is the one that always comes to mind for me, where it's a massive moment and it's great. But then when you realize what it did for the rest of the season, it's a bit of a downer. This shot in the dark play, though, in my opinion, I don't think it really puts a shadow over anything that's going to happen. I think it makes it better, I think it was 100% a success in this moment. I don't think it would be a success every time, because I also think Caleb is incredibly likable. He was on the underdog tribe. He's a physical threat, so maybe he can go on a little bit of a run here. We know he's a salesman. I thought his pitch at Tribal Council was phenomenal. Sure as hell pissed off D, and like, you just pissed. I love when she said, I'm a Cuban, so I'm not going to back off. I have to go at him. I mean, dude.
And then he's literally like, but you're writing my name down tonight, right? So I'm not allowed to say it, but you're allowed to write my name down. And she's like, yeah, fair.
Yeah. Yeah. And she stood up and screamed when it came back as safe. So I just think that
was part of the fun too. I liked how it's almost like everyone appreciated the moment. Everyone knew this hasn't really worked to save anyone before. And they knew like Caleb was fighting so hard. They were almost honestly like, yeah, we want him gone, but we're really happy for him. Like, this is kind of cool. Yeah. And we're here sitting here. And then like 7 of them are completely safe and they don't need to sweat it whatsoever. So those 7 are just like, oh, I'm just watching this. I get to see the first shot in the dark ever. I'm having a great time. So that was fun how they appreciated the moment as well.
I agree. And everybody except Jay really appreciated that moment. I mean, she took it like a champ at the end where she was saying, I mean, it's a terrible way to go, but what can you do? There's really nothing you can do. So
throw the stray vote. She had outs in that situation.
Yeah. We'll see what her exit press says tomorrow on why she didn't end up doing that. But I want to go back. Hey, here we go. We got Jordan Alford. He's been around since the beginning. Will. Hi, Will. Austin had an amazing night. He's 1 vote out away from having 2 idols. So that's another thing that gets lost here.
Much did he just send you money? I don't know. How does that work? Wow.
It's a super like. It's a super like. It's
the
new thing.
I haven't been around in a long time. I didn't know you could super like. Wow. Well, thank you, Austin.
Jordan.
Or no, thank
Jordan. He's commending Austin. Yeah. But yeah. So when we look at what's going on with the amulet, do you think that also factored into why Austin actually wanted to? I know we said the sandwich, and that's
when I say the sandwich, I mean the whole entire journey. Like, he didn't get the sandwich, plus he now has this amulet that's like, hey, now I can get one of these. I think, and then when Kelly had a confessional, it said amulet by her name. Like, we kept getting these reminders of amulet, sandwich, like that was an important part of what was gonna happen in the merge or this episode as it played out. But totally. If I'm Austin, I'm like, especially when there's 6 people that you can choose from out of 13, and one of them's names come up, and one of them is gonna make your advantage more powerful. Like, hell yeah, I'm gonna vote for Jay.
Yeah, because now him and Kelly both have a steal a vote, and in a 12-person situation here where it looks like they're going to split next week. So we're still not getting the authentic merge until 10. It looks like we're going to do a 6-6 split and 2 people will go home. That's huge to have a steal of vote.
Yeah, especially if they get split onto the same tribe and then they go to tribal council. And those ones are always weird. It's like you can't really prepare for who's going to be on what. So it's like random people end up working together. And that's kind of, didn't we see a steal a vote in 43?
Yeah, Noel did it.
When they split up. Yeah, I feel like that's a great steal a vote moment when you do split into 2 groups, because, stealing 1 vote or at 1 extra vote out of 12 people, 11 or 10, 9 even, it's just not as powerful. But when you get down to 5 or 6, yeah, that's a good time to do it.
Yeah. So when we look at this, though, and I know you're a game guy, and we're going to talk about the challenges and everything coming up. Is this too random? That's been one of the biggest complaints of the new era. And I know you haven't come on at a merge type situation, and these merges are always like this. You're pulling a rock to figure out what team you're going to be on, and then that determines whether you're going to be safe or not. And then you go in, and then you have the shot in the dark. You have other advantages that are out there. Then at Final 12, now you're going to have a split. Is this too random? I mean, if Caleb goes on to win Survivor, is this all that much different than Erica smashing the Hourglass?
Or is it that different than like Chris Underwood? Like, literally, Caleb got 12 votes tonight, didn't even have an idol, and he's making it through. Like, that's, I mean, at this point, it's throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what works. I don't mind the splitting up, and I think that makes it interesting. But when you drawing rocks, I think that's like, can we not do something where the players have some choice? Like, imagine doing a draft, like you get 2 people, team captains, and then it's like, wait, should I draft people that are going to make my tribe stronger, or people that if I go to tribal with, I know they'll vote with me, and so I won't be voted out? Like, it creates a dilemma in the players' heads, and especially now that we have 90-minute episodes, you could actually do a full draft and like get confessionals on why people are choosing what they're doing, instead of like, all right, we're going to leave this game up to a bag rocks. And maybe that was too much to do in the 45-minute episodes or the hour long. But now that you got this extra time, like, do create some choice and decisions for the players. So I that's the main thing is the randomness of it, but I don't mind splitting up.
I do like that idea, though, because it reminds me of the Karen Willard situation where Karen purposely took Willard instead of Jonathan because she knew then if they lost, Willard would go home instead of her. And I feel like that would be the situation here of, do you want to take, I don't know, Jake, who you feel like is going to be really strong in the challenge? I thought Jake killed it tonight. Or do you want to take J Maya on your side, who her name has been coming up?
Yeah, or take like an obvious boot. Yeah. No, there's a lot of, we can just talk it out. There's a lot of ways to play it, and that's way more interesting than just reaching and grabbing something. And it's such a big deal. It's like half these people are going to be immune and make the merge and get food, and it's like it's kind of a big thing to leave up to a rock draw.
Now we have this question here from Nicola. Double elimination next week. Do you think both make the jury or both miss the jury?
What has it been in the past in the new era?
Normally it starts at 11.
But don't they merge at 13? Or no, they've been merging at 12. Or
they've been doing the
same merge. I mean,
yeah, we had Dwight on for our predictions of power rankings, and he got 12th place and missed the jury.
Okay, so there were 6 pre-merge boots in that season, though. So this is a little different. It's only 5 pre-merge boots.
Yeah. Well,
and like 4 quits.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. So I'm curious. I think they'll both make it, but then that creates a situation of a 3-3-3 tie. So maybe they don't all make it.
Maybe one makes it and one doesn't.
The one from the winning team, if they do a challenge, like that person gets to make the jury and the person from the losing team doesn't.
Sure. Well, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. Yeah. I mean, 8 voting into 3 is the cleanest way to do it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Edge of Extinction, there was no way to not, I mean, you didn't know how many people are going to quit. So you could have gotten 9 into 3 or 12 into 3. So
yeah,
who knows? That's a good question though.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. All right, I want to go back to the beginning of the episode because a lot happened here at the start, and Bruce found.
Wait a second. Before let's go back way to the beginning, because I was paying attention more. I think it was either in the previously on or in the theme. They have the title intro now. There's the shot in the dark jar, and it's like very prominent. Has that been in every title sequence, like the theme song?
So this is where trying to avoid spoilers like the plague really works against me, because I saw a lot of people tweeting about the shot in the dark urn thing today. So I think it might have been new. But then at the same time, when you're tweeting,
I was like looking, I'm like, why are they showing the shot in the dark jar?
I didn't think anything of it because, every time that thing comes on, I'm really excited about it. I watched the first one, and then everything after that, I kind of just, I'm looking at my phone or whatever. I'm not really paying that much attention to the previously on. I'm taking notes about who's got, what for prop bet. So I don't know,
right?
But there was a huge reaction to it online. And I don't know if that's because people knew a spoiler, like maybe this was spoiled that a shot in the dark was successable this season. So they were like, ooh, that means it's going to happen tonight because it was new.
Or maybe it wasn't. Since it's been introduced, has that been in, but we even had intros, so we can't even compare it against anything.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I think there was a little foreshadowing. I think they tossed that one in there.
Yeah, maybe they did. I don't know. I guess I didn't pay close enough attention, but I did like that Jeff actually said the words of previously on Survivor, which he hasn't said this year, even though they've been doing the previously on Survivor.
It just started with like Kendra like screaming.
Yeah, exactly. So I like that. But okay, so we go past that, and now we go to this Lulu Beach, where anybody who was saying that Katurah was on the ins and Bruce was on the outs, it was clearly established at the beginning here that Bruce was on the in and Katurah was on the out. Now, that might not mean that Bruce beats Katurah. Katurah could absolutely beat Bruce now that we're at the final 12. But Bruce, Jake, Kelly, and
so wait, were you having an argument with someone, or it seems like someone was telling you otherwise?
A lot of people between the Bruce and Katurah thing, I think that's been the most divisive part of this season, where people have been saying a lot of people have been on the side of Katurah is getting the better of Bruce, and a lot of people have been on the side of no, Bruce is getting the better of Katurah, and Katurah is just kind of looking like she's just tunnel vision, which is the side I'm on. And I think that in this episode where we start off and Caleb, Kelly, Bruce, and Jake are looking for the idol together while Katurah is out looking for sticks, and then they all come back and they're helping Bruce, that says everything, I think.
Yeah, no, that's all you need to know, because I thought the same thing. I was like, it's 4 of them. I'm like, isn't there a 5th person? Oh, it's Katurah. Oh, wait, why are they telling Caleb, who's like, isn't really one of them? And we hadn't gotten any like confessionals that it was like 4 against 1 last episode. Like that was not clear. But yeah, once it's 4 people looking, yeah. I like the Jake with the rings. We haven't seen that one before.
No, that was clever.
He lost them and like digging right there.
And he's
winking at everybody. New things. Like we've seen the thing hidden under the shelter, and then like when there was all 4 of them, you're like, oh man, this is kind of lame because you can just walk to the shelter, one person's gone. But it still led to that little cool move. I like that.
And so what would have happened? It seemed like Bruce actually did get this right under the wire, because then they come in and they say you have 10 minutes to get all your stuff. He made it seem like he was getting it after that was announced. I don't know if that's true or not, because you would imagine everybody would be over there. What would have happened though?
Yes,
if he hadn't gotten
it? Yes, I was thinking the same exact thing. Like if he doesn't find it, he can't vote the rest of the season.
Because normally it would say if you don't get it, you don't get your vote until final 11 or something like that. I think that was what it said in the first 41, 42, 43. And I think Matt Blankenship had a similar situation last season where they were talking about it didn't give an end time to when he would get his vote automatically back. So I was thinking, if Bruce doesn't get this, they're taking him off the island. What in the world happens to Bruce in this situation if he doesn't get it?
I don't hate it. I think it's kind of funny.
Bruce is just not voting all the way up till final 5, maybe?
Yes. I think that's hilarious. Like if one player just can't vote, and then like you have opportunities to get extra votes, and maybe you get one. I don't know. It'd be funny. It's also the whole point of this was like, okay, you can't, if that is really the threat, you can't vote the rest of the game. And let's say it was Katurah who found it, and there's 4 people, like she's just going to be like, screw it. Like I'm going to start digging right in front of you. They're going to be like, what's going on? Start digging right alongside of her. I mean, that could have been really good. If the stakes are that high that you lose your vote the rest of the game, and then boom, we're merging, we're going to a different beach. That's kind of what you want. You want that public chaotic situation with everyone digging under the shelter. So maybe that would have happened actually.
I do worry that if that would have happened where Bruce wouldn't have gotten his idol or wouldn't have gotten his vote, then I think that would have backfired on CBS and Survivor and all of them, because I think that would have really scared people from ever finding the Beware advantage and picking it up, because he didn't know when he picked that up that was also going to be the day that they were going to merge. He didn't know that was coming. So it might just sway
but
in a way you don't want.
Right. No, and I don't think it would ever. I think the chances of it happening are like 2 or 3, like so low, because it's not like one of these idols where you need to, decode something and then use a tool to get something out from a really high place in the tree. And like, it wasn't the escape room that whatever the Red Tribe had to go through earlier. It was literally like, here's the idol. It's right there. So like, it was going to get, once you see the clue, it's going to get found. It's just a matter of like, how stealthily can you do it? In this situation, they didn't need to be stealthy at all.
Yeah, they didn't need to be stealthy at all, which really helped them out. Now, I have a question though. So far, all the idols that have been found, you've had to risk a vote to make it stronger. It was just for anybody who was trying to keep up at home. Their first idol, you would have to risk one vote, and then it was good until final 11 or until everybody was on the same beach together. And if you risked your vote the next time you went to tribal council, it was good till final 5. So that's what Austin had to do. Now, I understand that Bruce is finding a re-hidden idol. So this is Sabaya's idol that is gone. It's on that beach. So Bruce is finding something different. But are you surprised that they didn't make him risk a vote, considering he'd be risking his vote at the same time that Austin was also still needing to risk his vote to make it a full idol, even if they only had him risk 1 instead of 2, like Austin had to do?
Yeah, when he read it, that was my first thought. I'm like, okay, is this going to be this type of idol? And it didn't end up being that way. He had to read the whole thing, like, this is good until final 5. I'm like, oh, okay, there's none of that. I don't really mind it. I think it's fine. I think having, early in the game, especially when you have these 6-person tribes, and I think that's a big part of the new era is we have smaller tribes, nowhere to hide, and then we're going on journeys. You can lose your vote, or you can be risky. You can bank this vote to make your idol more powerful. These votes are valuable. I said it earlier. Once you get in these votes are huge. I mean, this is like your currency in the game, essentially. And so that's what they want early. Once you get to a merge, like Bruce is going to merge. Who cares? Like Austin did it tonight. It's like, okay, man, like he didn't vote. So I guess there's 11 votes for Caleb instead of 12.
Yeah.
So I think at this point, when you're that close to merge, just make it a real idol. It's that your one vote doesn't have as much power as it used to.
Yeah, and Zach just threw in here, why is the idol that's re-hidden so much easier to get? I don't feel like it was. I feel like it was just the circumstance. You mentioned it. He just happened to be in a group of 4. But imagine if this was Katurah, who was on the outs and wasn't working with anybody. She doesn't have a lookout in Kelly and somebody pretending to have lost their ring in Jake while she's digging under the shelter. That was under the shelter. That was dug in the dirt. This wasn't the Kelly Wentworth on the bottom of the shelter. I think it was Kelly Wentworth, whoever it was, but on the bottom of the shelter where they just pulled it off. This was literally underground. So that's not an easy thing to grab. I think it just looked really easy because Bruce happened to have found it.
Well, yeah, it's just one step too. I think, excuse me, it's just one step. And I think this still goes to my point. It's like your idol when you're in a tribe of 4, 5, 6 people is like, that's incredibly powerful. Make it hard. We're going into a merge with essentially 13 people, be down to 12 people. Like your idol, I think it's okay that it was like easy to find as a normal idol. The hard part about finding before, like the past whatever seasons, it's like you look around and you just find it.
Yeah.
Like at least we have clues at all, this season. So
yeah, no, I agree. And I don't mind this. I still think that in my world, I would have liked him to have to risk at least 1 vote, considering Austin had to risk 2 and Sabaya was going to have to risk 2. I think it would have been worth it. I get he was about to find it right before this fake merge thing anyway. It wouldn't have mattered tonight because Bruce could have easily risked his vote and gotten it, and it would have been full power. But I just think for consistency's sake, there was nothing that Bruce did that was different than what Austin or Sabaya did that made it so that.
Well, I think it's that one was you had an idol on each beach, and they were all found, right?
No, Bello never found them.
Bello never had theirs. Okay, anyway, this is the second version of this idol, so I feel like it can be different. It can do whatever it wants. We've already seen, here's like the base level. Each tribe has one of these banking idols, whatever you want to call it. And so this one was just a normal one. I'm totally cool with it.
So everybody ended up knowing that Bruce got the idol. I was pumped for Bruce. I'm happy for Bruce that he got this. I think he's gotten a pretty bad edit this season. I think he's really been the brunt of the joke more than anything. But I thought it was cool that he got this. And then it ended up working. It's going to work against him eventually. But Caleb, who Bruce was not getting along with once they got to the merge beach because Bruce felt that he was talking to everybody too much, Caleb starts telling people that Bruce has the idol. So how does this work for Bruce now? Do we think Bruce is going to get voted out with an idol in his pocket? Or
that was such a random thing from Caleb, because initially I'm like, oh, Bruce has an idol. What if he's like, oh, that's powerful. Let's blindside Bruce. But it's like, oh, wait, Bruce is safe. He can't even be eliminated. I'm just going to tell you this out of pure desperation, pretty much. Like, yeah, trying to build trust right before you go to travel and spill the beans on one of your allies. I don't know. It was an iffy move that will, I think, definitely come back to bite Bruce. Who do you think is lasting longer, Katurah or Bruce?
At this point, with the idol, I would assume it was Bruce, but I also don't feel like Katurah is a threat to anyone right now. So probably, I could
I
see
think
Bruce
I
getting
think
voted out with
Bruce.
the idol in his
Yeah,
pocket.
that's the vibe. I mean, that's like the whole vibe of kind of his edit has been like, okay, he's gonna get this power, and then he's been a goofy guy, he's been bossy, like you kind of said, he's had a negative edit a little bit. That's kind of the person who goes home with an idol in their pocket.
And it does feel like we had Kelly directly say to the camera that she is ready to vote him out of the game now. And I could see Bruce, especially at this split tribal coming up, thinking, if he gets a good split, if he gets Kelly, Jake, and I don't know who else he would need to feel safe. But if he gets a good split and he feels safe, all it takes is one person to flip over, and then Bruce is going home with an idol in his pocket. Because now Bruce is suddenly a big threat. I know he's gotten a bad edit, but if you get rid of the edit, Bruce has an idol. He's a strong guy. He's on a starting tribe that has 5 people still left in the game. Jake is incredibly loyal to him right now. And from my perspective, what Bruce wanted to have happen tonight happened. They were ready to vote for Jay until Bruce started saying, no, let's vote Caleb, let's vote Caleb, let's vote Caleb. That got in everybody's head. That flipped everybody onto Caleb. I think Bruce did a good job selling it. That flipped everybody into Caleb. Ultimately, Jay went home anyway, but it was a unanimous vote for Caleb that was sparked by Bruce saying, we need to get this guy out of the game. So they did ultimately side with him.
Yeah, he does have a lot of power. I think some people look at Bruce, though, as like, we don't really need to worry that, like, they aren't taking him seriously almost. At least, we know Katurah thinks that way. Like you said, what Kelly just said, it's almost like he's a number in blue, and like, they're not, it doesn't seem like anyone's actually threatened by Bruce.
It almost felt like
at least from what we're seeing, it doesn't seem that way.
And it didn't work out the way that it had for Gabler, but it felt like a Gabler situation where Gabler was so set on, I need to get rid of Ellie. And everybody's like, fine, we'll get rid of Ellie. We're not worried about Gabler winning this game. Bruce is so set on, I need to get rid of Caleb. Everybody says, fine, we're not worried about Bruce winning this game. They all vote for Caleb. It didn't go that way because Caleb played this shot in the dark, but it was going to go that way, almost identical to season 43.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think why was it unanimous? Like, wasn't there was a pretty sizable faction that wanted Jay out before we got to the revote, but like, how did all 12 people just land on Caleb?
So they were talking about they wanted it to be 100%. They wanted it to be unanimous. And it seemed like everybody was okay with Jay or Caleb going home, except for Emily. Emily wanted to stick up for Caleb, but she wasn't going to put herself on an island there. And doing the Survivor interviews,
but Katurah really wanted Jay also.
She did.
Like, Caleb was just on Bello with us. He's one of our numbers. If we do Bello plus Caleb, we have the numbers that can run the game. Why is no one thinking like this?
What I've heard from doing the interviews with the survivors after they play, or when we get them on for power rankings, predictions, whatever, at the merge boot, everybody is so willing to say, as long as it's not me, let's just get whoever's the easy target. And in this episode, Jay was the easy target. Bruce went against that. So Bruce actually went against what most Survivor players, I think, would do. And it landed on Caleb. But then everybody said, you know what? Let's get rid of Caleb. And if I'm looking at it objectively, Caleb is the right move here. He is physical threat. He is great socially. He was saying he's not a strategic threat. I don't think that's true at all. He was saying, how can I upend this game? We've seen that happen over and over in Survivor history, but that's how good of a salesman he is. He's pitching that so well. He is absolutely the bigger threat.
Yeah, that's what Jay goes like, look at him, guys. Look what he's doing right now.
Yeah, he just called himself the biggest threat in the game.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the right move, especially these players have seen season 44 and literally saw the tribe come in with the fewest numbers. What were they, Taki or something?
Tika. But actually, they didn't see the end of that season.
They didn't?
No.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I think they only got it to the merge.
Well, they're onto it because, I mean, if they did see that season, it was like, okay, yeah, the smaller tribe in the middle that bounces back, that's the threat. Emily and Caleb are the threats here.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's smart to get them out.
Absolutely. And I do think that Caleb, I don't think Emily's going to be a target for a little while.
Yeah, I think she's fine. I think she's going far.
I do too. But I think Caleb is in trouble anytime he doesn't have the necklace around his neck. But next week really works in Caleb's favor because splitting it, now he's only got to beat 5 people. At least that's what I'm assuming. They said 2 people are going home. I'm assuming they're splitting 6 and 6. If that happens, there's going to be an immunity idol for both sides. And I think that makes it easier for Caleb.
Yeah, and even with how the numbers shake out, like if there's, it's with these splits, it's always like, wait, look, we have the numbers. This is our only chance to get this
Mhm.
person out. We have to take our shot now. So it's like we can get Caleb out later once we're one tribe. Everyone wants to get him out. Let's take out this one threat, like randomly. Like it could be like Jake or Bruce, or I mean, who knows? It can land on anybody. I actually hope they don't split. And it's like, especially with the 90-minute episodes now, it's like you could just do two immunity challenges, two tribal councils in 90 minutes, and I would be like totally fine with that. What do you think? Because we used to get that. I feel like we'd get that anyway in the hour longs.
They're not going to do it now because they don't have the days for it. That's what the problem is. They don't have enough. That was back when there were 39 days. Now there's only 26 days. So they don't have enough days to say, okay, we're going to literally have you go back to back like this and put it into one episode. They can't build a story there. I think it's just too quick. And he did specifically say 2 of you are going home tonight. So it's definitely going to be the split tribal. We're not going to get to.
I'm just hoping for something different, like a message in the bottle type deal.
Yeah.
I'm
just happy they're splitting this at 12 instead of 10 this time, though, because over the last bunch of seasons, they've been splitting it at 10. And it's been very obvious that, okay, once we get to 10, we're getting a 5-5 split. So this is happening earlier than it has in the past 4 seasons.
True. That's true. Okay. We're mixing it up a little bit. I'm cool with it.
They're trying to keep people on their toes. Just a teensy bit.
At this point, I'm like over the three tribes though. Like just like or let's go 3-2. Like I always like when they do 3-2 because you still get like a hodgepodge of you don't need to go from 3 tribes to 3 tribes to 1, which is either we've done that or we've done like no swapping at all and we just gone 3 tribes to 1. Like have we ever had 2 tribes in the new era like at all? Like existing simultaneously, exactly 2 tribes.
No, not in the new era. We've just had these random teams that they're calling them. They're not calling them tribes. It's never been 2 tribes in the new era. I think the last time, what was the last time somebody, where's Andy Vogel? He's always in this chat. He's got to be the one who tells us. When was the last time that it was 3-2? There was one time where it went 3-2-3. But I forget.
3-2-3? Oh, that was oh man. 3-2-3. Did that really happen?
There was, or maybe it was 2-3-2 in Winners at War or something like that happened where there was they started with something, went to a different number of tribes, then came back to the original.
Oh, Ghost Island was 2-3-2.
Is that what Ghost Island was?
Andy, or it was 2-2-3.
Andy was peeing, so hold on. Now we can do it. Andy, when was the last time that they started where they had either a tribe of 3 or a tribe of 2, and then it went to the opposite number and then back? So like when did it go 3-2-3?
Second Chance was 2-3-2.
He just said, Andy said Ghost Island was 2-2-3.
Yes. I think Second Chance was 2-3-2.
That's true. Yeah, because Wu went home at the 2 tribal council, but in the new era, that hasn't happened. It's been 3-3.
It's only been 3 or 1. There's never been 2. Let's get it 2. Let's get 2 back in the mix.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's long overdue, and it's kind of how we felt with back when they were doing 2 tribes. You're like, just mix it up. Give us 3 tribes. We're so tired of the 2 10-person tribes. And they did it in Philippines and it worked really well. And then they didn't keep doing it, but they did it in Cagayan and that was a little bit different. But they only did it every now and then.
Yeah. And now it's every
year.
Yeah. I think it's got to be because of the journeys and the losing votes and like just like the whole nowhere to hide. Like we're going to make everything. But even though it's like fewer people going to tribal council, so there's like actually more room to hide.
Yeah, I agree. I know.
It's like if you have 2 tribes of 9 people going to tribal council, 12 people are just on the beach chilling out.
Yeah. More than half the cast doesn't go to tribal council every week, which is not the case in a normal season of 2 tribes.
Yeah. Let's bring it back.
Bring it back. You're a challenge guy. So I want to talk to you about this challenge because it's the first time I think we've seen this in Survivor, especially in the team phase, where we actually had them do a puzzle that led into another puzzle. Have we done this before?
We've seen variations of a puzzle into a puzzle. Yeah, definitely.
Like this in the team phase?
Not like this particular type, like a Rebus puzzle. But we've seen like you got to solve this and then do that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an example, but yeah, there's been it's whenever you have to decode something, it's like decode this to do that.
Yeah. I get that. And I think with this one, though, they had to build the puzzle that gave them the decoding
The
to then
key.
build another puzzle, which I don't know if we've actually seen, because we have seen the decode this, build your puzzle, or build a puzzle that tells you to decode something and then you decode it. But I don't think we've done the two like that. I really enjoyed this challenge, though. I thought this challenge was a perfect balance of, I think, what makes Survivor challenges great. It was very physical. There was a lot of dirtiness to it. I like them going through the mud. It gives you that feeling. There was a huge physical portion of it where they're pushing everything with the bags. They got to climb things. And then it gets to the puzzle portion as well.
I love the ball. Just getting up that ball.
Just getting the ball.
Fun.
Yeah.
The ball was great. And that the literally the ankle pull. I mean, that was like that's what you love to see.
Yeah. It's Andy says stair puzzle up to a slide puzzle. So there you go. That happened a whole bunch. That one's a big one. But I think that this was a really fun twist on what they've been doing in this Murgatory situation of it sometimes it's just too physical and then the puzzle almost feels like it doesn't mean anything. This time I felt like there was enough time for the other tribe to come back, even though this was probably the least even out of all of these. It felt like, blue really did smoke red. It just shook out that way. But if blue didn't have Drew able to do the puzzle, I think red might have been able to come back a little bit.
I obviously love puzzles. I thought the Rebus puzzle was like, and maybe if you haven't done those before or don't know them, you're like, what are all these symbols and minus and plus? And to me, it felt pretty straightforward. Where if you got the main puzzle completed first, you were going to get the phrase. That's how that's how I felt. But I mean, again, I like puzzles a lot. Yeah,
and you like puzzles and you're also eating. I do feel like there's a little bit more of the I could see if you ended up with
you're looking at two horses. You're like, what are these horses?
What are these horses? If you don't realize that those are knights, if you've never played chess, you have no idea what you're looking at. Bruce is in the chat. He says, "What up?" and Will with a whole bunch of exclamation points.
All right, Bruce.
He's here.
We're pulling for you, Bruce.
He's here. I just thought this was a good challenge. I liked Jake's grunts throughout the entire episode. I thought that was pretty epic. I was impressed with Jake because he was on the tribe that clearly was the less physical, but he was giving it his all throughout that entire thing.
What's up with everybody's legs and arms? Have you talked about that yet?
No, I've gotten so many messages though from friends, from people I don't know, wanting to know why their legs are so much worse.
I think whatever the first challenge was, and I can't recall exactly what it was. I think you had to crawl through something. It might have been mud, and sometimes when you have mud, you literally have to have people remove all the rocks and boulders, and maybe it was something else. But everyone's legs are so cut up, in the exact same spot. So I wonder what happened. I mean, it makes it look gnarly. It's like you're looking at these players like, damn, they are actually surviving out there struggling.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but I am curious because then they're doing all these mud challenges, and all I can think is infection, because we have seen people get pulled for infections. And earlier in the season, they were giving out a lot of Band-Aids, and we were seeing a lot of Band-Aids. But now, tonight, Emily's legs were disgusting. Emily's legs were horrible tonight.
They're probably scabbed up. Good to go.
It's still gross.
Yeah. No, it is. It's Survivor, man. It's gotta be gross.
Where are you thinking? Because I don't know. I mean, anybody who's listening to this now, get used to that face over there. Hang on, point the right way. That face right there, because he's probably going to be showing up a lot more during next year, during season 46. We don't know exactly how much.
I'll come back, Phil.
Probably a lot more with Alexa's absence, leaving. But we probably won't have you on again this season. So my question is, what are you looking at moving forward with this cast, being that you're a casual who used to be a specialist, who's trying to become a specialist again, pretend you know what the hell's going on? What are you looking at with this cast? How do you feel about where we are with this final 12? Who are you liking? Have you learned to read and edit? I remember when we did Co Wrong and Millennials vs. Gen X, you were so wrong. You kept saying Jay and Aubrey, Jay and Aubrey, Jay and Aubrey. Have you figured it out yet? Or are you still in the dark?
I don't really pay attention to the edit as closely. But I mean, the whole Adam thing, it's still, I mean, that was a big trick. And I think the editing, especially in the new era, is way more all over the place. I think it's harder to pick up on. I think the big question, heading into the rest of the season, is we have this really strong foursome, the Reba 4. I think the question is, are they able to take power and make it to the end and one of them ends up winning, or somehow do they fall apart? And because there's a lot of things, especially with splitting up next week, 8 other players still left. who's going to come and knock them out. And I think whoever either takes out that Reba 4, they're probably going to step up and win. Like I'm looking at Kelly as someone who seems like she's really with it and like paying attention to things. And then inside the Reba 4, I think D is also, she's a standout as kind of like really playing hard, understands what's going on. So I think I like D and Kelly as probably the 2 most likely players to win. That's probably a little bit of edit reading, but honestly, Phil, we know how bad I am at that. So
well, that worries me because
as someone who doesn't pay attention that much, like those 2 kind of stand out to me as like the most likely to win.
It's really worrisome because those are my 2 favorites right now. I think those are the 2 that have the best chance to win this game. And if you're feeling that way, then it's probably not going to happen, which is very, very concerning. So we'll see what ends up happening with them. But I don't remember the last time we've seen it. And forgive me if I'm just wrong here, but I think about, Survivor 41, we had Erica win. Deshawn was in Final 3 with her. In Survivor 42, we had Marianne win. And I know that was a different person from each tribe, but we had Lindsay at Final 4. So there was stuff going on. In Survivor 43, Gabler and Owen were both in the final tribal. In Survivor 44, we had Jam Jam Carolyn all in the final tribal. I'm trying to remember, but I can't off the top of my head. So I'm just going to use the examples that my childhood self knows. We could be in for a Danny, Chris Doherty type win here, where the Reba 4 plus Emily, I do feel like Emily is in with that Reba 4. I think tonight she was willing to work whatever way she had to, but we have heard Emily with Drew and Austin feel like she's really in with them. And if she comes over, there you go.
See, I feel like Emily is just like, can you hear me, by the way?
I can. Yeah, you muted yourself for a second, but you're good now.
No, I feel like Emily is gonna just like bounce and like she's going where the wind blows, and she's still got Caleb. Like I don't look at Emily as like the 5th member of that group. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's not what I'm picking up on.
Okay, well let's say she's not. Let's say Emily's not there, but I do feel like we could get to a situation where there's an alliance based around that group of 4. Maybe there's 2 more people, and it's a group of 6. That whoever the remaining person from the non-alliance can get in and break that up. And I can't remember the last time we saw that and go on to win. I'm talking the way Chris was down 6-1, the way Danny was down 6-1. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm kind of envisioning for this season. And I could see that being Kelly.
Like we just have a straggler who's just along for the ride. Maybe they win immunity. Maybe they play an idol. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now you get to Final 5 and it's 2-2 and they need that 5th person. That could still be Emily too. That's the crazy part. Emily could still be that person who ends up being there at Final 5 with 4 Rebas and gets in there, splits up, takes out who she needs to, and gets the votes at the end. Because I think people are respecting the shit out of Emily right now. I really do.
Oh, she's got a real shot. She has a real shot. So wait, who's your front runner? Like if you had to put like one person right now, like
if I had to put one
all your eggs in one basket.
All in one basket, I'd probably still go D. I'd go D because D to me, D has been my winner pick since day one. I like D, Caleb, and Katurah before the season. Katurah, I don't think has a shot now. I don't think Caleb either. It's going to be too much of an uphill battle. But I think Kelly has slipped in kind of as everybody's winner pick, and she's definitely won me over. But I think D has the easier path. And I think the story of this season has been Emily and the Reba 4. That's what the story has felt like to me. Like Emily and Caleb, Reba 4, Bello's there. Kelly is definitely telling a story. It's very Michelle.
Bello doesn't feel like they're not clearly not together and on the same page strategically, but also just from the narrative and the story. It's like I don't feel like we get much of Bello. Like I don't know, like we were talking about the idol earlier on that beach. We didn't even know that Katurah was like the one person out on that tribe. It just doesn't seem like we are being told their story. So I don't know. I'm with you. I don't think Bello has the winner of the season.
Yeah. If they do, I think it would be Kelly or it would be Jake, or somehow Bruce really did just get the worst winners at it in a long time. But I mean,
a Bruce win would be all time. Or if we got like a Julie win out of nowhere. Like Julie, she's
playing, man.
She's always in the conversations with D, and it could be one of those things where it's like kind of like Jesse and Cody, and maybe D like rises up mastermind, and then she goes out and Julie's there to like pick up the pieces, gets the final tribal, and D's backing her up like, yeah, we made those decisions together. I don't know, something like that. A Julie win could be fun.
I like Julie a lot. And when I look at Julie right now, and I'm a big confessional reader. So after tonight, Julie has 13 confessionals. Dee has 19, Austin 25, Drew 27, Emily 36. Like, so it sounds like Julie's behind. But the older woman to have 13 episodes at this point, I know that we're doing 90-minute episodes, but it actually hasn't raised the amount of confessionals all that much. It's been pretty even, maybe a couple more here and there, but it hasn't been as overwhelming as you would think. For her to have that many confessionals already is really solid for somebody in her archetype.
Yeah, and it's like she's gone to tribal council one time. So that, I mean, that's where confessionals come from. I mean, that's why Emily is probably leading the way. She's been to so many.
Caleb has the most.
Well, he's been to quite a few also.
Yeah, Caleb's 1, Emily's 2. But this is where it's hard for me to write off Michelle 2.0 because Kelly has a confessional in every episode. She hasn't gone to a tribal council yet. And she has Katurah does as well, but I feel like Katurah's story has been so focused on Bruce. Kelly has been narrating what's going on over there when we don't necessarily need to know what's going on over there.
Yeah, no, she's been because she was in the middle with Brando. It's like they were bouncing back and forth. She's been the narrator of that tribe. Absolutely.
Yeah. If I'm looking at this because, you gave me a hard time because I'm always like, I had Gabler and you're like, yeah, you said Jesse was going to win just like everybody else. And I'm like, yeah, but I said, if Jesse doesn't win, it's going to be Gabler. Everybody else was saying Cass. Some people said Owen, but I said, no, it's going to be Gabler. The only people that I'm totally writing off at this point, and I love her facial expressions, but Kendra's not going to win. Kendra's a lot of fun, but she's not going to win. Katurah's not going to win. I don't think Bruce is going to be able to pull it off. He's got the idol now, so maybe he can make something happen. I'd put him right on the cusp of not being able to. And Sifu. Like, Sifu 100% is not going to win this.
I'm loving Sifu, by the way.
All I want to say is I love Sifu, but,
I like that scene last week where he got back from tribal and it was just like that slow, like intense music and he's just eyeing them and it's this slow, like that was such a great scene. Like I don't know if you guys talked about it. Like I just loved how that was edited together and Sifu's just staring at him and like, interesting. I love that. I like what Sifu's bringing. I'm probably with you though, that his chances to win are about 0.
Yeah. He has the least.
I also don't think, Drew and Austin, I don't think they're it. Especially today, there was that scene tonight. There was a scene, it was like all of them dancing with the praying mantis going back and forth and laughing. And then they were just like, I don't know, 20 feet away. Like, we're going to strategize. Like, this is the game where you need to strategize. And of course, I don't know if it actually happened like that, but the way they kind of told that story with the confessional was like, they're taking the game really seriously. It's like the game is people. Like being there laughing and dancing, that is the game. That is the strategy. That's how you move forward. So that just like it piqued my brain a little bit, like that they are not in it. Like they're going to overplay or be too strategic or not be social enough. Something like that is going to be their downfall.
Yeah, I think Austin could still win. I don't think Drew's going to pull it off. I think Drew's too smart for his own good right now. And I don't think Drew is going to be wise enough to downplay it when he needs to. And Austin, the reason I don't count him out yet is if Kelly goes home, he has 2 idols. If Kelly doesn't go home, he still has an idol and a steal a vote. He's going to be around for a long time, even if his name keeps coming up.
Well, he doesn't have a steal a vote right now.
No, he does.
Well, he needs Kelly's thing, though.
Oh, him and Kelly need to play it at the same time. That's right.
Oh, yeah. It's not.
That's right.
They have to play it together. That's why the extra vote. That's why the sandwich was like, obviously, and Austin said it beautifully last episode. It's like, yeah, the sandwich is like the easiest move ever. When are the 3 of us ever going to come together and steal 1 vote on a merged tribe? Like, yeah.
And especially, I don't see Kelly. And
so now he would have to work together now with Kelly. And they're on completely opposite sides of the power dynamics, except if Kelly's like, hey, let's get Bruce out. And, you see Reba already there. I mean, J Maya's gone, but they were ready to take J Maya. Like maybe we aren't into the color war the whole time. Like maybe at some point it just becomes super fluid, which that's been happening most. I mean, you've been paying attention more, you've been podcasting. It feels like in the new era, the tribes, like maybe the first 2 votes, it's like a really big deal. And then by the time you get to episode 7, 8, 9, like it's kind of just a mishmash of alliances and relationships.
Yeah. And I do think, though, with Austin, that's a good point. I forgot that he needs Kelly to use it. But I do think the thing with Austin right now is he's also in the strongest alliance, the most the one we know exists. And Dee said tonight she wouldn't vote for Drew or Austin. She said that. Came out of her mouth that she would not vote for Drew or Austin. So
I believe that they're tight, except earlier in the season, though, is weird. They were like so shady and like lying to each other, and like they both kind of duos.
You don't know what you're doing in the first couple days.
I know. It's just funny how both duos are like, they're a little sus on each other, but they're also like, I will never vote for you, and we are the strongest four, because they are. So
I'm glad you're gonna be coming back more next season, so you can use words like sus, so we can get some Gen Z listeners, because we're really struggling right now with the Gen Z.
That's why I'm here. I think that's
what
like
you're here for. You're the cool guy.
I also don't think, is that fully a Gen Z word? I feel like sus has been around way longer than some of the other lingo.
I don't think I've heard anybody ever say sus out loud until you just said it. I think I'd only see it written out. So yeah, I don't know, man.
Hell yeah, I'm getting you the lingo.
You are, man. You're the young guy here, the young gun. Will. Anything else you want to throw in here before I send you on your way? Since you got me off.
Are there any comments or questions? Do you still do that?
We don't do it as much anymore. I try to
used to read all the comments and answer questions, and
yeah,
you're too big time now, Phil.
We did that for like 2 seasons, Will, and then even with Millennials vs. Gen X, we were like, wow, if we want a podcast for 5 hours on a Sunday, that's what we're going to do. But I try to throw them out when they come up and they're relevant to what's going on. So like, big show Gunno, Julie could get the Gabler type of win, Yeah, I mean, that could happen.
I like that.
Yeah. I like this one too from Valiers. Plus the comment from Kelly about how she's not scared of big men or something like that. Kelly's getting some winner quotes, man.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm not wrong. If I had to put my eggs in one basket, it just hasn't been that front runner though. Like it just never is. Mm-hmm. Like Erica, nowhere.
Marianne. Jam Jam was the front runner.
Jam Jam was a little bit. Yeah, you're right.
He was the front, because Carson, you could see the problems with his edit, and other than Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam, nobody else was getting enough ever.
Yeah. That was fun, but it was very telegraphed.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this season right now, Dee, Kelly, those are my favorites.
But I think Dee and Kelly, as we say that, it's like they're not even as prolific as Jam Jam or some of the other bigger players. It feels, and maybe it's the 90-minute thing, but like everyone, like I feel like I know everybody. It seems like there's a lot of people who have a chance to win. No one's jumping way up front. There's a few people you might write off, but it seems pretty even. It seems pretty up in the air, which I love. Those are the best seasons to me.
Jake is my dark horse. Jake is my dark horse because he's gotten a lot of personal content. He's gotten a lot of confessionals that are.
I'm liking really, Jake a lot.
Yeah, his personality is really coming through. I am really liking Jake, and he's another one. How many tribal councils has Jake been able to go home at tonight? That was it.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh, I was thinking earlier when Emily and Bruce were on the beach, like having that meetup from the barge and kind of just talking things over. It was weird. It's like Bruce has kind of played before technically. Like Emily's been to way more tribal councils than Bruce. Like had Bruce even been
Bruce
with
has
tribal
not.
council?
Bruce has not.
Emily was at like 4 tribals.
Yet.
Right. Yeah. It was just funny to think like Caleb and Emily are way more experienced at that point in the game, because even though this is Bruce's second time playing, technically, I mean, I don't even look at Bruce as a returning player, like barely.
Yeah. I would say even at this point, I'd say Bruce might be the least experienced player out there, because him, Kelly, Jake, Katura, they're the least experienced players. But Jake and Kelly were just eligible to be voted out tonight. So it's only him and Katura.
Him and Katura. Yeah, Bruce and Katura. They've been safe the entire game.
Yeah. Yeah, we were robbed of seeing Bruce and Carolyn and Bruce and Jam Jam and Bruce and Carson, man. That would have been something.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have been fun.
Are we going to get Pat back from
I don't think so.
Goliath?
I don't think so. I think everything pre-40 is dead in the water at this
point. Those players will never play again?
I think specific types maybe, but maybe Rick Devens, maybe Dom, but I think that's really it. So
what about a returning season in the new era? Is that on the horizon?
I said I really don't think so. I really don't think I don't think so.
Just keep it new every season.
Yeah, you know what the thing is? The players are great, but they don't have that same attachment to specific seasons and specific like moves and stuff like they used to. I think because we see so much chaos in every season nowadays, it's harder to distinguish. Like, who would you say was the biggest player on season 42? I mean, Marianne won. Who's the biggest player other than Marianne?
Like Omar?
Yeah, he'd probably be number one, right?
Like Omar would easily come back.
Mm-hmm.
You would get Carolyn. You get Jesse or Cody, one of them.
And Carson.
Yeah.
But you have to get up to 18 now. And I think that's tougher to do than I think a lot of people realize right now.
Wouldn't it be interesting to take some people from the new era and then the old era? Like that can
They won't do it with 26 days. I don't think they will put the old school players on a 26-day season against people who only play 26 days. I just don't think they'll do it.
I think that'd be so interesting. You have 10
Here's the thing.
returnees from the new era and then 10 old era. And then you have a theme. Like, this sounds great.
I think that, look at this, Will. You're getting crapped on by DAJ over there. Learn your lesson. But I think they said you interrupt me too much.
Oh, I love interrupting, Phil.
Yeah, that's my favorite
thing to do.
Yeah, that's what people like to listen to too, right?
Oh, that's intentional.
I do think that don't start doing it now because I'm just going to X out. We're already going way over time. I do think that if the pre-40 players were to come out and dominate that season, then that would be a serious issue from the new era standpoint of 26 days is still just as hard and blah, 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 blah. I think that would really hurt. And I don't think that they're willing to go back to 39 days. So they're kind of being like, no, it's still really hard. There's really no way to prove it's not. I think that's where they want to stay.
Yeah, but you could literally just tell the contestants in the interview, like, hey, we're not talking about 26 to 39. That's not going to make TV. That's not what you want to talk about. Don't bring it into light, and just talk about the shot in the dark, the journeys,
All-Stars,
the earning the merge.
How'd that work for All-Stars when they said we're not going to talk about the fact that you all talk to each other off camera? Didn't work at all. That's why in season 40 they were just talking about all the pregame alliances they made.
Mm-hmm.
It's too hard. It's too much. But I'm cutting you off, man. I got to cut you off. I got to do another podcast.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. Jumping on to talk about Doctor Strange and Five Nights at Freddy's. If you haven't seen Five Nights at Freddy's, you're a lucky person.
Is it good or is it bad?
It's bad. It's real bad.
Didn't make
you probably like it a lot. It made a lot of money. It's a Blumhouse movie, man. Blumhouse movies kill it all the time.
Yeah,
it's like
a cult thing.
Yeah.
But anyway,
become patrons, patreon.com/survivor specialists. A whole bunch of fun stuff coming your way in January. We're doing a lot now too, but in January, it's really going to start coming your way. I got big plans and I'm not stopping, but tune in for that. Become a patron now. Get in before it's too hot, right? I don't know. How do you pitch that, Will? I don't know. I got nothing. Otherwise, I'll do my after show tomorrow for all you $20 patrons. Power rankings game, everything like that. I'll have updates for you either tomorrow in that episode or on the predictions and power rankings. We don't know exactly when we're going to be coming live this weekend with the predictions. It should be Sunday. We have somebody in the works right now, but we want to make sure we can lock them in for a specific time before we start saying who it's going to be. Really excited about it. But yeah, keep an eye out on the social media for when that's going to be. Otherwise, Will, thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Will, you got anything you want to say about how excited you are that you got to come on and
spew? I'm super excited. I'm shocked that Alexa is leaving, but she's done a great job. I can't believe you guys are still doing it. You guys are the best Survivor podcast. So kudos to you both. Sachi's going, and I might see you guys more often. Yeah, that's a good way to pitch it there, Will. Good job. Better than I did. All right, everybody. See you later.